at what we found. It's a big sound in a small town. Far from the bright lights, they're making music every night. Hear what is all around. It's a big sound in a small town. It's a big sound in a small town. It's a big sound in a small town.
Hi, and welcome to Big Sound Small Town. I'm your host, Sandy Carlton, and this is a podcast about the lives and stories of the musicians, writers, artists, and their associates that have their roots in the small towns and communities across America. If you like what you hear, tell somebody. Enjoy.
I'm Shearra Miller. I'm president of the Cleveland County Arts Council, and as I just told you, I am much more comfortable being on your side of the table than on this side of the table. I'm used to interviewing others, and but this is what we have today.
Yes, it is, and I'm glad you've taken the time to sit on that side.
Well, thank you.
I won't put too much pressure on you.
Thanks.
Okay, so tell me what being president consists of.
Being president is a really nice title to be able to say that I am president of the Arts Council or executive director. A lot of people,
that's the new name.
That's the official title is president, but most of the time I'm the executive director of the Arts Council.
That's your LinkedIn title.
Right. when I sign grant forms and things like that, then I'm president. But otherwise I'm the executive director, and I have been doing that now for 24, 5 years, something like that.
She started that just as soon as she was out of school.
That's exactly right. Yeah, just graduated and I started. I wish that were true. But honestly, I mean, things have changed over the years. But and I really didn't think when I came to the Arts Council that I would be here this long. But the board of directors has put up with me this long and must be doing something a little bit right. But there's just always been a new challenge to take on, and or a new reason to stay, and so I've enjoyed it. If I hadn't been enjoying it all these years, I wouldn't still be here.
I'm sure it's changed a lot since you started.
It has. It really has. Shelby and Cleveland County have changed a lot.
This is true too.
When I first started, and to be totally honest, I didn't even know about the Arts Council much before I came for my interview all those years ago. The Arts Council had been in existence for a good 12 or so years at that time, but I wasn't real familiar with it. Right. And that's saying nothing about my predecessor, but it was just the way things were. And so when I came on board, there were things that needed to be done, and the community was I don't think quite as arts minded at the time. We have always had a lot of really talented artists, musicians, actors, and there were strong affiliate organizations, as we call them, the Choral Society, the Greater Shelby Community Theater, Kings Mountain Little Theater, and others. And they really were the reason why the Arts Council came into being. Okay. And so there were a lot of nonprofit arts organizations that were all volunteer-based, and the State Arts Council was asking counties to form and support an arts council to sort of be an umbrella for all of those volunteer organizations, and to be the granting agency for grassroots grants. And that really is why the Arts Council was formed. And so I was able to step in with a lot of arts organizations in existence here in the county, and sort of help promote what they were doing and pull them together.
Did you realize the scope of what you were stepping into? I mean, the arts is a big top tent of different cultures, different styles, different people. I mean, that's a huge umbrella.
It is, and no, to answer your question,
that would seem to
I
me,
really didn't.
That would seem to me to go, oh man, once you start talking arts, then you're talking so many different facets.
Really,
is it hard to tie all that together?
Sometimes it is. It's as things have evolved over the years, it's in some ways gotten a little, well, it has gotten easier. I mean, most jobs get easier, with time and experience. But I think when I first started, the focus community-wide was more on visual arts, and with the Kings Mountain Theater and the Greater Shelby Community Theater both being strong community theater groups, there seemed to be more of a focus on those art forms. And I know it's kind of hard for you and even for others to believe, because music is such a force here and everywhere else. But 20-some years ago, wasn't hearing a whole lot about music.
Well, there was not a lot of places to play here. I mean, you had to take your music outside of the community.
Yeah.
And usually drive a pretty good ways. I mean, it would be Charlotte, it would be Columbia, it would be Asheville.
Yeah. So, I didn't really hear a lot about music.
There wasn't a lot. If you did not know people and was part of the music community, you could say it was non-existent for a number of years.
Yeah.
Well, many years.
Yeah.
Even though there were incredible musicians here, and they were playing, they were not playing here.
No, they really weren't. I mean, I just didn't hear that much.
And at that time, too, I guess Earl Owensby would have had a big part of the arts community. I mean, a lot of directors, a lot of actors, actresses, which would go with the film, which would go with the, in essence, the little theater, so. Yeah.
And you're right. I had kind of forgotten about that, but that was when we started the Reel to Reel Film Festival that we do, at which has now been 24 years ago, I guess.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, wow. It has. I know. And Earl was not, I don't think he was doing any more films, but he was still here. Right. And in fact, he came to the first or second one that we had and spoke. And I think we kind of had like a midnight screening of some of his old films. And that was the first 2 or 3 years we had it here at the Arts Council in uncomfortable chairs and terrible circumstances. But anyway, but we started it. And Earl was still somewhat of an influencer at that time.
I would think, yeah.
And but Reel to Reel has continued on, and
I loved it this year because I didn't have to go anywhere.
That's right. You could watch from home.
Exactly.
Yeah, and in fact, as we're planning towards moving it back to July this year, we're looking at a way to make it hybrid. Last year it was all virtual, had to be, and we'd like for it to be in person, but we kind of liked that virtual.
I enjoyed that. I mean, I still got to see it. It wasn't on a big screen,
right?
But it was. I didn't enjoy it any less, I will tell you.
Well, that's good to know. And I think others, and our reach was much
I'm
further
sure it was broader,
because of that.
Yeah.
And so we're the company that we worked with last year. They're not doing festivals anymore. They're still in business, but they're kind of in a different direction.
Right.
But so we're trying to find somebody that may be able to allow us to have an in-person festival, but a virtual festival.
Well,
too.
I guess something like that is a big part. I guess you're always searching, aren't you? I mean, your job's searching as much as anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, so that's where it really basically started. When you came here, it was basically a theater. Support of the theater.
Yes, and visual arts because of the arts center.
I guess that had started.
Yeah, that was actually ongoing. When I started, they were having exhibits in here, but just to kind of let you know, I remember I started in January of '96, and there was an exhibit in here at the time. And I asked the gentleman that was leaving, I said, well, what's the next exhibit? He said, well, I don't know. I don't have anything. I said, well, how do you do that? Right. And he said, oh, I don't worry about it. He said, something will work out. And I thought, oh my gosh, talk about feeling like, what have I gotten myself into?
How does that work out? Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's going to walk in. And in some ways, for the first few months, that's sort of what happened. Just trying to get to know artists, trying to get my just a feel for who all was out there.
Did somebody walk in and say, let's have an art show?
Yeah. People would, and they still do that. They honestly do. Right now, as you're recording this, Treasures of the Earth is in the gallery, and that is it's our 26th annual. So I've been here 26 years. That was the first year that we did Treasures of the Earth. There was an employee at the time, and we were saying, well, I asked her, I said, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do? And she said, well, I know a bunch of potters. You want to have a pottery show? I said, sure, whatever. Yeah. And so she started calling potters, and, it started then.
Potters are also like, like any other artist, they enjoy they'll jump at a chance to bring their art, share their art with you. So, in fact, you got Bowling for Dollars. Not Bowling for Dollars.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
It's
Bowling for Dollars. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I'm sitting here in a room with all this pottery and knowing what's going to happen, but let the listener.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite events, and I'm so glad that I know when you air this, it will have already taken place, but
it'll be back next year.
It will be. Yes, it will, because it was Bowling for Dollars was the last event that we held in person, face to face, last year in 2020. After that, that's when we had to, start shutting down and closing up because of COVID. And so it's kind of neat that the first event that we're having this year, face to face, is Bowling for Dollars. And the potters in our area are so generous to donate all these bowls, and we've got over, I think we will have by the time over 300 bowls, and the community loves to come and get their bowl and get a bowl of soup to eat. This year, it's all being done differently. We're having to-go containers of soup ready for people to pick up.
So they pick up their bowl and a container. And they go home, they go to the office. If it's a pretty day like today, they can go have a picnic. Yeah. So it's kind of maybe the new beginning of as people keep saying, the new normal after COVID.
to be able to have this event. I think I've got a plan of how we're going to do it, and I think it's going to work well.
Is it hard to find soup suppliers?
No, we have a wonderful relationship. I'll go ahead and give her a plug with Kathy Woody and Dressing on the Side, and she provides the soup for us every year, two different kinds, of vegetarian and one with meat, and we know it's always going to be good.
Well, it is. I mean, her stuff is good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're excited and to be able to have this event, but interesting through the whole 2020, 2021 COVID year, we were only closed, I think, for about 6 weeks.
Really?
But we, employees, we all took our computers home with us, and we would have Zoom staff meetings, and we just kept on working. And after those 6 weeks, I felt like, I can work better if I'm here at the office.
Right.
And we came back, and we were open once we were allowed to be open to the public, but very few people were coming in.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
they just weren't. But we consistently had an exhibit here in the building the whole time. I wanted to have artwork in here, even if only a few folks came in, but I wanted it to be here for people to have a little bit of normalcy in their life.
An escape.
Yeah, an escape, place.
Which arts are, all arts, to a degree, are an escape mechanism for both the artist and without people who love the arts, whether they're listeners, visual watchers. That is there would be no artist without the people that support them. So, and a lot of that is coming in and looking at something that makes you feel like, maybe life's not quite as bad.
Absolutely.
It is, but still.
But for a few minutes, you can escape. You can. And that's why I felt it was important for us to continue to have artwork in here. But we also we started having a videographer come in and do a short video of our exhibits. They're on YouTube, so that people, if they still didn't feel comfortable, they could still see the artwork. Sure. And so,
I mean, that's a worthy cause. It is. It's not all about making a buck, is it?
No, it's not. And in the arts, in the nonprofit arts, it's definitely not all about making the buck.
In all the arts, it's if you're doing it for money, there's easier ways to make money.
Yep, there is. So, we were able to do that. We had art camp last summer. Looking at some pictures from last summer, the children did not all of them, a few of them had masks on. And when I first saw those pictures, I thought, oh my goodness, we had kids here. Well, last summer there was not a mandate for mask wearing, and it was.
That's right. It did come late.
It came later. Yeah. We could have smaller numbers of children, and I think that at that time the rule was age 11 and older had to wear a mask, and most of our kids coming were younger. So some did, some didn't, but no one, to my knowledge, got sick, and it was great to be able to offer that opportunity. And so we're working on that, trying to get ready for art camp this summer.
Roll through the different things that you kind of cover here at the arts. I mean, was Chalk Fest.
Chalk Fest was a fatality of COVID.
But that is one of the things.
That is one of the things we do. And this year,
I love Chalk Fest.
I know. I have had more people ask me about Chalk Fest than any of our other events.
I mean, really, that is a wonderful thing. That is living art.
It is, and it's one of my favorite too. We kept postponing, and then finally we just canceled it last year.
Right.
This year, we're not going to have it in June like we've done in the past, but we're going to move it to September. There's a good reason for that. It's not just COVID related. We are adding a new event this year. Saturday, June 5th. It's a yard and garden tour. In the past, we've had a holiday home tour in December. Of course, we couldn't do that this past year. And I had some volunteers, board members start thinking, saying, what if we did a garden tour in the spring? Well, it's going to be a kind of late spring, but we've got 6 homes lined up with beautiful yards and gardens, or they will be June 5th.
You hope so anyway.
Yeah, we're planning on it. And so that is going to take place the weekend that Chalk Fest usually is, but I thought we're just going to move it to September. The weather's still great in September. Kids will be back in school, and I think it'll give all of us something to look forward to. So yeah, we have reel to reel, and we have Chalk Fest, and not sure what we're going to do with holidays this coming year. Like I said, since we didn't have the holiday home tour, but we may bring that back.
You may be able to.
Be able to bring it back.
See, I don't think people realize that's part of it either.
I know.
I don't know where people think it comes from, but I mean, it is not. It's not something that pops in your mind when you think Arts Council.
You're right, and I think that, and I know I'm kind of going sideways a little bit, but one of the it's not our set in stone mission, but I guess it's my mission is to bring to the community different art forms, that art is not just drawing, painting, singing, acting. There are dancing, arts all around us.
It is.
And so if we can bring those different, because not very few people like all art forms.
True.
And so if you can find that niche for somebody, what they like and enjoy, then we've done it. So we try a lot of different things for different to appeal to different people, to opportunities. That's our big buzzword around here is provide those opportunities for folks and hope they take advantage of it. But we've got that.
Do you feel that Cleveland County is open to art? It's been a rural county for so long. It's still a very rural county.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I think I've seen change over the years. I think people are more open to it than they were when I first started.
I mean,
we've still got a ways to go.
For a long time, no. Corn maze was an art. It's a joke. It's a joke. Kind of.
When you look at them from up
true.
high.
Yeah, that's true. It's like crop circles. That could be art.
Yeah.
In theory.
It can be. Yeah. There are lots of different kinds.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I think that sometimes the events that we offer aren't automatically tied back into us. Sometimes it doesn't matter how often we say brought to you by the Arts Council.
Somehow they miss that.
They do. They do sometimes.
I mean, I guess that is good in a way, is that you're providing it. You're letting them know that you are responsible for it, but you're not putting the council before the art. Right, because what is important is the art and those opportunities. You're right. When we have new board members come on our board and we do some training, to let them know what they're getting into and what all we do. I can see it in their eyes most often, unless they've been involved with us before. They're like, wow. I didn't know you did all this. Right.
And, well, yeah, we do. We do. And we do it with a small budget and a small staff and a lot of volunteers. But there are a lot of things. And just when I think we can't do anything else, then we come up with a new idea, like the yard and garden tour,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
to do. But
are grants harder to get these days?
Absolutely. They've become more competitive. There aren't as many funding sources, and funding is different in a lot of ways. especially with corporate sponsors and corporate just donations. When I first started, we could call on an industry, PPG or somebody down what I call the Grover Highway, between Kings Mountain and Grover.
Probably even the Dover Foundation during that time.
We could just call on them, pick up the phone,
Right.
say, it's time for our annual fund drive. Can you make your donation? And they would, decisions were made locally,
Right.
and they would say, sure, and send us a check. Now, larger industry, if they will give funding, a lot of them have become more focused on certain areas, and arts may not be.
Oh, and you have to find
an area.
That's another
right.
part. Seeking again.
Yeah.
You're seeking again.
Yeah. So there's more of an application process to go through to get those donations, and that's if you fit in
True.
their funding
Has
category.
Has grant writing gotten any easier?
Of course not. It doesn't matter how many times I write one.
I do. I do understand. I've gotten honeybees and shiitake mushrooms from grant writing. So.
Yep. There is an art to that.
There is an art to that.
There is.
But you have to stumble over about 20 other grants that would have worked really good to learn it.
Yes, you do. And just researching to find those grants. I know I used to have board members that say, well, just apply for a grant. Well, you can spend all day researching, looking for grants to just apply to, and then you
have to actually
apply. Yeah.
You have to apply, actually write the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more complicated than what people think. I think people believe that, hey, it's like fundraising. Well, there is fundraising involved in it, but, I'm going to go ask some people I know that's got some money if they'd be interested in giving me some of their money, which you have to do that too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And not everybody is. That's a tough task.
It is. And if you ask me what my least favorite part of my job is,
I'm sure that is.
That.
I think if you would ask anyone, even people who fundraise for a living, they would probably tell you that it's not the greatest job in the world. I mean, that part of it is not.
No.
I mean,
there may be people who like it, but
yeah, maybe.
No, I would much rather plan and host an event.
Sure.
To raise funds than to go out fundraising, but it's what we have to do.
It's a necessary evil.
It is. As a nonprofit, that's what we do, and I hope that and that has changed drastically with all the online fundraising.
Oh yeah,
now.
this is true. Oh yes.
And different generations give in different ways.
They do.
And so, in fact, I spent a couple hours this morning doing some research into that.
Well, I mean, yeah, online has changed the arts so much. I mean, I spent time during this COVID time songwriting through Zoom meetings, rehearsing things through Zoom meetings, doing podcasts through Zoom meetings. So actually, I attended a pod fest through Zoom meetings.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. It would have been a lot more fun in person, but I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
Actually, it was one of the better things I did during my time was the Podfest. It was, I learned a lot. Actually, after they were each 1 hour blocks, and some 30 seconds in there, at some point, something would click on and think, why did I not think of that?
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, I was like, I would rather not be doing this. Why did I do this?
Well, and just that, podcasts.
Yeah.
Have
true.
I mean, hardly a day goes by that I don't hear about another one that I want to subscribe to.
Anything you can think of that that anyone likes, you can find a podcast about it. And a really cool thing is, unlike radio, which it is kind of a radio substitute, but you can play it at your own.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
It's your convenience.
Yeah.
Which is really good. And it's terrible. The pandemic has been good for my podcast because people have had the time to listen.
Yeah.
And it has just exploded.
Yeah.
And not because of much of anything I've done, so much as it just was a timely thing.
And now I'm going to ask you: do you think, as people are able to do more things, as businesses open up and travel opens up, do you see the popularity of podcasts continuing to
travel is actually excellent for podcasts if they travel, flights, long distance trips. I can, and just through analytics, I know that people listen to longer podcasts if they're traveling.
Yeah.
If they're at home, if they're relaxing, they like a shorter deal, or they like a deal where they can come back to it.
Yeah.
So I really see it being okay for a while.
Good.
I mean, I liked having a captive audience a little better. People going stir crazy, and I mean, but it's kind of like Zoom and kind of like online. I think that'll be a part of our life for a while.
I agree.
You know, I don't think that'll go away and I think more people will continue to work at home than they have in the past. I mean, they may have to go out and do stuff, but
right.
The large portion of it will be done there if they've been successful at it.
Right. Yeah.
If they have not been successful at it, probably not.
Yeah. Well, I know, and again, this is kind of veering off your subject, but my board of directors here, we had our first Zoom board meeting in April of last year, and there were a couple times that we thought we were going to be able to come back in person, but we weren't. And so I asked the executive committee just this week, I said, I'm assuming y'all want to, even though we can have more people in here, I said, I'm assuming that for next week you want to go ahead and continue with Zoom. And they said, yes. I said, in April, though, do you want to, come back in person? And most did, but one said, can we look at a hybrid, hybrid, and for the ones that aren't quite comfortable yet. And I said, sure, we'll figure something out. I'm not sure how we'll do it, but we'll figure it out.
And a lot of times it's simpler than traveling to different things.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, you don't have to, especially for those who are working, they don't have to allow in travel time to and from to get back to work. And so,
well, it's kind of like my job too now with podcasting. It's totally different than if we were doing this Zoom. I would not be in a t-shirt and ball hat, but since it's audio, then it's totally different,
right? Which
works good for me, But I mean, there is some of that. You can Zoom meet from your home, and put you can even people's backgrounds is part of the fun of it.
There's an art form in there that somebody discovered.
There is. Virtual screens are. I mean, and I'm sure somebody has that going on, and
I'm sure they do,
making some money on it. So
I'm sure.
So tell me all that you have coming for. How far ahead are you? I mean, how far ahead do you guys plan, really?
Well, pre-COVID, we and it kind of depends on the different things that we do. For the annual events,
you have annual events.
Yeah, we like Chalk Fest and Reel to Reel, and I had left out the Carolina Pottery Festival. That we hold over at the LeGrand Center. A lot of people don't know that that's ours because it has a different name. And you used
to have it at the fairgrounds.
Right, it used to be at the fairgrounds. Of course, we couldn't have it this past November, but we're planning ahead and
to November again.
Yeah, November.
You're going to keep that original date at this point.
Yeah, first Saturday in November. And the majority of the potters that were supposed to be there this past year, they didn't ask for a refund, so they'll be in there.
Apply it towards that for this year.
Yeah. And so for that, we're kind of working on it all year long. Right. Same thing with Reel to Reel. As soon as we finish that up, the new film submissions start coming in, but as it gets closer to the time, it sort of heats up. The one thing that I've left out in all of this, which probably pertains more to your podcast than anything else, is the Art of Sound Music Festival.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
That should have been in September this past year, and we kind of realized early on during the summer that we wouldn't be able to have it, and so I started in my mind just thinking, okay, we've thought about in the past maybe moving it. Let me back up. When we first started Art of Sound years ago, and I was kind of leading to this early on in our conversation, a friend of mine had stopped by for lunch one day, and we walked outside, and he just said, there's no music festival around this place. And at that time,
there wasn't.
Agree. And he said, why don't you do that? And I just kind of looked at him, with my mouth hanging. I said, how do I start a music festival? Right. And so I started talking to some folks and finding out the musicians, the music people in this area, and got a lot of ideas. And so we were able to pull together that and it actually grew more than I thought, that more than I was ready for at the time, but that it was a good thing. And then soon after that, a lot of music festivals started springing up.
Yes, they did.
And
competition's
not bad, but it's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard.
Also, the times that you can do that are either spring or fall.
Yeah.
I mean, summer is entirely too hot. Winter is entirely too cold.
Yeah.
So you have competition going on at the same time.
You do, and not only with other music festivals, but other just other festivals.
Sure, other events.
Yeah,
true.
And so, whereas we were doing it, I think the first couple of years we did it in October, which was a great time. But then another festival kind of came in on top of us, and so we moved it to September, and then others started coming in, and it became more difficult. Now, there were always plenty of wonderful, talented musicians willing to participate, but we always felt that they needed to be paid.
Right.
We didn't ask them to donate their time and talent. And to be able to pay them, we needed sponsors, and it all kind of goes around and around. But we continued on, and it, like I told you earlier, those first few years, there weren't as many active businesses in Shelby.
You had stuff in here. We
had stuff in here. We had empty storefronts that we could use, and then as time went on and more businesses moved into Shelby, which is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
We lost some of our venues that way, but then restaurants and bars started opening, and so then we could partner with them. So it has changed over the years. And it's still evolving.
It's more difficult too because your potter, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
A band, you can book them today, and they'll have a falling out. And by the time it's time to play, you don't know who you're getting. Same way with artists. Artists going to be doing their thing, but you get a band, and it's like, well, there's two of us from the band you booked. No,
but you're right.
But it is. I mean,
you're right.
We've
run into that a time.
Oh yeah. No, this is not the band we booked. Well, no, not really. It's not. So. Musicians are more difficult. You're right. They're the most difficult of artists. Yeah,
they're essential. They are essential to us.
They are essential. They are difficult.
They can be.
I as a musician and a lifelong musician, Do not encourage your children to be musicians.
Mama, don't let your babies.
No, you do. No, it is a. Well, I won't use the Hunter Thompson quote that I do a lot of times, but it is a hard business. The business part of it is hard.
Yeah.
And every ugly thing in the world that can rear its head up does so.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I encourage you, do not let your children be musicians.
Oh, well, like I said, back in the fall, I thought, well, we'll move it to the spring. We've been kind of toying with that idea for a while. I'm not 100. I know I should be able to tell you right now it's going to be.
Yeah.
Right now.
But you don't. Sure.
But what we are looking at is possibly the last weekend in June, and that is because we realized a couple years ago that it's a good partnership with Buffalo Creek Gallery to hold Art on the Square at the same time. And so that's kind of what they're looking at. It will be if Art of Sound takes place, it will be a much smaller Art of Sound this year. I'm just.
Is there a way to social distance that? No, yeah. I mean, and will social distancing still be a thing? I mean,
right.
I can't see that you can make a good plan there.
No, we really can't.
I mean, you're at. Well, I want this to continue, but how much will it hurt if we go another year and don't do it? I mean, will it kill it or
make it better?
Or make it better. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. And, just in talking with somebody actually earlier this week about outdoor events, while the crowd size limits inside of a stadium may be at 30%, you can't really say that a city block is not, so.
And I do not think there will be any enforcement anyway.
Right,
and
right.
Just knowing where we live, I just do not believe there would be any enforcement whatsoever. So, I mean, that's a tricky one. I'm glad that's your decision.
Well, it's a tough one, and and I'm just going to throw this out there for any of your listeners. If they have strong opinions, they can give me a call, send me an email, and I will probably say you want to help us plan it.
Yeah, exactly.
And, whether it's for this year in a smaller format or if it's for next year, because I do think that chances are we'll fall has become very crowded.
Yeah.
Not just, prior to COVID, but I think it'll pick back up. Not only music festivals, just festivals in general.
I mean, you got beer festivals, you got apple festivals, you got,
Yeah. So, and who knows when everybody starts doing festivals again, how it's all going to shake out. But we may move to spring, and then everybody may move to spring.
or I mean, you just don't realize even how many may have to fold too. I mean, it's just the sad part of
it is
the pandemic.
It is, and things like that, events like that, you can't. You can wait till the last minute and cancel, but you have to do so much ahead of time, that planning, that getting sponsors, doing your promotions and that sort of things. And you don't want to spend all that money just for it to be canceled.
And I'm thinking that's also not a large grossing affair.
No. In fact, reel to reel, several years, in the beginning, we charged admission. You had a wristband, and that got you into all the places. After a while, we decided we're just going to make this our gift to the community, and it will be free. So, so no.
And I mean, with stuff like that, it is. Even if you do, it would have to be with any of these things. I guess the margin is slim.
It is. It is.
And all it would take was, even rain can affect
Oh,
a
yeah.
festival, right?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff once you start dealing with a festival that can really
Yeah. There
hamper
really
things
is.
or actually kill all the margin you have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I dare say that they're all started with good intentions.
Sure, they are.
And the well-being of the community but yeah, things out of your control can bring a halt and can cause a lot of problems.
Totally.
So yeah, those are the main events that I feel like I've jumped us all over the place.
Have we left anything out that's a main event?
Well, one thing that we do that we really don't get a whole lot of credit for, but that's okay, is our arts and education program.
Right.
And again, we haven't been able to do that this year because of students, because of COVID. We did have art camp. We are planning art camp again for this summer, but we have brought for years performers into the school system,
Right.
and kindergarten through 8th grades. And we had to, last year, of course, cancel the last 2 performances because they weren't in school. And then this year, because of COVID, not just because, just because of everything, we couldn't do any in-school performances. But we have a couple of virtual performances lined up for these last few weeks of school that the teachers can show to their students if they want to. Is all optional, and teachers have a lot on them. I don't know how many they will actually take advantage of, but we're going to put it out there for them. But that is something big that we've done, and we'll. Once everything is kind of back to normal with the schools again next year, I hope, we'll be bringing these performances back to them. And again, there's not really any way for us, we can say brought to you by the Cleveland County Arts Council, but the students don't remember it.
No, the parents don't really realize who it is. Teachers probably don't even.
No, a few do, but most don't. But and that's okay, because it is important for our students, because a lot of our students here in Cleveland County don't have the opportunity to go to New York or to Charlotte or even Hickory or Greenville to see some of these.
We're still in a county where a lot of them cannot even get their homework done because they do not have internet access.
Right.
So, yes, we think we're in a pretty modern age and that things are pretty good, and Cleveland County has come a long way, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
There is.
And as far as being exposed to the arts, I would think that there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, there is. And
when it starts young, it makes it easier to continue on with it as an adult.
It really does. And, when I hear, I'm proud that Cleveland County Schools continues to provide art instruction and music instruction and theater for our students, because there are some counties that don't do that.
Yeah, it's cut that out.
They have cut it out, and ours do still. This year has been,
and I'm sure the arts in school have suffered this year. Band, I'm not sure how works really well with virtual.
Well, from what I've understood, when the weather's been good, band they've gone outside.
That's good.
And they've played, and I know that with football having started back, then the marching bands have been able to finally play some too. The elementary music teachers have done a lot more even music theory with their students, and art teachers they've told me have had to do art theory. They couldn't share the supplies and materials.
Right.
But on the plus side, our annual student art show and competition is taking place this year. I've talked with all the art teachers, and they're going to be bringing artwork in. Not as much as years past, but I told them, I said, that's okay. People need to know that kids still had art experiences this year.
Really, most people are pretty well set on their art destination at a pretty young age. I mean, whether it's music, whether it's a love of painting, a love of pottery, you know, a love of any of the arts, even like take dance. A lot of times the different traditional dancing, if you don't do it young, you're probably not going to do it. I mean, education is really
Yeah, it is.
critical at a young age for the arts.
Yeah, and just having those opportunities to experiment and try.
Sure.
I will never forget last summer. Like I said, you know, that was still early in the pandemic and quarantining, and I had parents telling me how appreciative they were that we were still doing art camp.
Yeah.
Because it made such a difference. Because for some of them, those children had not been around anybody since March until they came to art camp, and it was. I thought, wow, we're doing something really good.
Do you guys do an adult education? I mean, you've had people could come to learn to draw or learn different things here, right?
We do. We have adult classes, and they have ranged from, your basic drawing and painting, but the really popular ones are the paint and sip classes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they are. I know they are. Those are, I mean, that's probably one of your best money makers.
It really has been.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of those virtually via Zoom late last summer, in the fall, or maybe it was
I can see where you could do that with the Zoom.
Yeah. One of our teachers, Megan Allen, she we got the materials together for folks, and even though we were closed here,
they could come pick them up.
They came and picked them up. We passed them out through the back door. It felt almost kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like something illegal.
Sort of like prohibition or something. Yeah. But we gave them their materials, and then they logged on to Zoom, and I logged on just to kind of see how it was going, and they were having fun, and so it worked. But not as much fun as the classes here.
Oh no, it's not.
They were good. We've been doing for the past few months barn quilt painting classes.
Yeah, I saw that.
And those have been real popular too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We have, in fact, just today, a lady that taught stained glass for us. She called to see if I was sending her a 1099. I said, well, Brenda, you didn't teach any classes last year.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, that's right. I said, but whenever you're ready, we're ready for you to come back.
Do again.
And she's had her vaccination, so she's ready to come back too. So we do have classes for adults.
I just thought I would get that covered.
Yeah.
So what have we missed?
What have we missed? We're here.
Okay.
We are here, and we answer a lot of questions for people.
Wait, I can come in here and ask you questions about stuff I don't know.
Yes, you can. I may not be able to have the right answer, but you can ask me whatever you want to. But we do. We get a lot of phone calls. We get messages on Facebook, asking us about not only our events, but other people's events. My favorite used to be when the old block parties or Shelby Alive used to be out in front of our building. People called us all the time
wanting to know
is it going to take place, or who's playing. It was Uptown Shelby's event, but we could help with that.
Sure.
We can help with other organizations' events, or we can try to point people in the right direction.
I know something we haven't talked about is we didn't talk about like artist grants. That is something you guys do.
It is. We offer a couple of different kinds of grants. One for artists. It's a regional artist grant, and that is in conjunction with the Arts and Science Council in Charlotte,
Right.
and the other arts councils in this region, and we contribute to the fund, and then our artists in Cleveland County can apply for that
Right.
grant. We do that.
And there will be all the artists from the participating counties
can apply.
Can apply. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very competitive.
I'm sure it is.
We only had one artist this year, Susan Beth Coiner, received a grant, and it was a little different this year. It was not. It was more to help the artist recover because of
Right.
COVID.
Oh yeah, different. That's a different grant. Yeah.
But that was the way that they decided to handle it. But the regional artist grant will be back next year. We also offer to organizations the grassroots grant,
Right.
and that. I was telling somebody the other day, because that comes from the State Arts Council. It's changing a little bit this year. Typically, my deadline should have been March 1st, but they have pushed that deadline out into May, I think, and they're just making some changes. A lot of it because of COVID and
Sure.
trying to help arts councils and arts organizations in our counties. And we were this past year, because of COVID, the CARES money that came, the federal money,
Right.
and then it came to the state and to the State Arts Council, and then they gave us the CARES grant money to distribute
Right.
into our county, and surprised a lot of us. I mean,
I'm sure.
it surprised me. And then as we put the word out there for the other organizations, big help.
No, I'm
big,
sure.
Big help to all of us. It really was to help cover. It was a little bit like the PPP loan, only it was a grant.
It's a grant
not
instead
a
of a loan.
Yeah, and so I was glad that we could be the conduit for that.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
This past year. So yeah, we do offer those grants, and in years past we've also, and we will next year, offer an Artist in Schools grant, and this is for teachers,
Right.
or not just art teachers or music teachers, but any teachers.
Any teachers.
That in Cleveland County that wants to do an art program
Right.
in their classroom. So
That's cool.
we'll get that one back up and going again next year too. Yeah.
You're a busy person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a big enough staff to help you?
No.
I know you don't. So we had to put
No.
that out there too.
I have a great staff of one and a couple of part-time, very, very part-time, like quarter-time folks. And like I said, volunteers.
Is it hard to get volunteers?
It depends.
I guess.
That's kind of changed over the years too.
Okay.
It used to be we'd have a lot of committees for different things,
Right.
and people wanted to be on committees. Now people don't mind and love to volunteer, but they just wanted to. I'll do this event.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll do this, or I'll do this one over here.
Right.
But I don't want to be in charge, and I don't want to.
Well,
I don't want to
nobody
be on
ever
a
wants to-
standing
exactly,
committee,
yes.
you know.
Nobody
But I'll
ever
help
wants to
you.
do that.
so, so yes and no. Love my volunteers, love them, but it's been a year with very few events, and so we haven't been together that much.
And I guess it is easier for some events to find volunteers than the other events.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I guess it comes to how many people are into the art that you're doing.
Yeah. But let me take the opportunity to say that we're always looking for volunteers, And someone, in fact, just yesterday, is actually one of the potters. His sister has moved back to town, and he said, I think she would be a good fit as a volunteer. Here's her number. So I called her, and she is going to help at Bowling for Dollars. But I told her, I said, there are other things that I hope we'll be back to doing soon. And I said, but it depends on what you enjoy.
Right.
Some people might enjoy helping us set up an art exhibit.
I guess some people like volunteering. It doesn't matter the event so much, right? I mean,
Right.
we have people who enjoy volunteering.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't really matter the event. That's good. I mean,
And
that's
so it is, but if we can kind of fit you to something that you
might
like. Yeah. You just have to tell us that you want to do it, and we'll get you plugged
well.
in.
If you're as easy to work with as you are to run an interview with, it should be it should be a pleasure to do it.
Well, thank you.
All right. Have we missed anything?
If we have, people just need to go to Facebook or our website.
Yes, support that. Go ahead, tell them you have
Yeah.
a Facebook and give them your contact
All right.
stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, our website is ccartscouncil.org.
Yeah.
For those who like websites, we are on Facebook, Cleveland County Arts Council, and that's the most up to date of any place to find out our information. If you want to give us a call, it's 704-484-2787. Send me an email. It's my first name. That's not the easiest, but it's Shearra, SHEARRA, at ccartscouncil.org. And so, lots of ways to get in touch with us, and just invite people to check us out and keep in touch and come by and check out whatever exhibit is in here. If we happen to be in between exhibits, then we'll still talk to you and let you know what's coming up next. So, and give you that volunteer form to fill out. Yep.
That's great. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, because when I came in here today, it was hopping.
It was. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been here on a Thursday that seemed to be as busy as it was this afternoon. So.
It was. Sunshine brought them out.
Yeah, it's sunshine. I mean, it's been raining a lot,
Yeah.
and it's sunny, and it's a nice day.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate you doing this.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's been fun. It's been fun.